Throughout the Bible, we are repeatedly warned about the power of words. Given its power, one of the wisest things we can do is to talk less. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 benefits of doing so. The first benefit is you'll avoid sinning. Proverbs 10:19 says, "Too much talk leads to sin. Be sensible and keep your mouth shut." Haven't you noticed that many of the problems we find ourselves in have to do with the things we say? One time I had a coworker who always seemed turned off whenever somebody spoke about church. So I figured she had some negative experience. Thinking I would help her work through it, I told her once, "You don't seem to be a church person." She was immediately offended. I basically said she appeared to be a bad person. I didn't really think about it. And that's the sort of things we say when we are just talkative. You see, the less we talk, the less likely we are to gossip or slander. James 4:11 says, "Brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them speaks against the law and judges it. When you judge the law, you are not keeping it, but sitting in judgment on it." Similarly, the less we talk, the less likely we are to make oaths or swear. In excitement, we can easily commit to things or make promises that we don't end up keeping. Jesus warns against making oaths and swearing entirely. And he said in Matthew 5:37, all you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. And then there is lying. We might not straight up lie, but through talking a lot, we are more likely to exaggerate the truth. So as Proverbs 10:19 says, too much talk leads to sin. Avoid it just by talking less. The second benefit of talking less is that you'll learn more. James 1:19 says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Talking less goes hand in hand with listening more. And the more you listen, the more you are likely to learn something new. Often we have this thing where in the middle of a conversation, we would cut people off. Maybe they are going to show us something. And because we know it, we might say, "Oh, I already know how to do it." And in many of those cases, we miss out on opportunities to learn something new. Proverbs 18:13 says, "To answer before listening, that is folly and shame." Talking less and listening more also helps you to learn more because of the hints that people constantly drop. You know, just by being attentive, you might hear people repeatedly talk about a certain problem, and that can give you an idea for a business. If you have a significant other, just by hearing them share their interests about a certain thing repeatedly could give you a great gift idea. And talking less not only helps us to learn more when others are speaking, but also through observation. For instance, when I was in college, a professor was signing into his email account and it was shown on the projector. And I noticed he didn't put the at gmail.com after his email. And for a moment, I was about to correct him and say, "Hey, you missed it." But I didn't. And I noticed that he signed in successfully. And so I figured, oh, you don't need to put it. But if I had said something, he might have just, listened just to make me feel good and put the at gmail.com. And I would have not known that you could sign in without it. So it's just things like that that we miss out on just by observing something. And because we feel we know and we have to say something, we just blurt out and say it and we miss an opportunity. The third benefit of talking less is that you'll be perceived as wise. Proverbs 17, verses 27 and 28 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even tempered. Even fools are taught wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongue." One time I was interning at a company and I saw this lady who seemed to have this quiet, gentle spirit. And I thought, wow, she seemed to be a good person to be around. And then I heard her open her mouth. It was all type of curse words. I was like, wow. I was instantly turned off. And that's what talking does. It exposes who we are. And like the verse says, just by being quiet, we can be perceived as wise. And then there's the less likelihood of being wrong about things. I'm sure all of us at one point or another have been embarrassed by saying something stupid. Oftentimes, we might be in conversations and we might know little about the subject, but having this desire to contribute, we might say something that is completely wrong and therefore lose our perception of being knowledgeable. And then there's my favorite one. When you talk less and have this perception of being wise, you stand out. And that's one of the things we should be doing as believers, standing out. We are the light of the world. And this causes people, hey, knowing that you are a good listener, this causes people to want to be around you. And when they be around you and they share with you, you get to build relationships. And then through those relationships, you can later influence people positively. So there you have it. Three benefits of talking less. Yes, it can be hard to keep a rein on our tongues, but developing such a habit is truly worth it. Until the next one, bye for now.